Well, I thought the first one was fine. Was excited for this one a little bit more because Salma Hayek's in it more. Let's see if it's actually better. The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard is the sequel to the 2017 film The Hitman's Bodyguard, and it once again stars Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds and Salma Hayek. Now, the first Hitman's Bodyguard I find very forgettable. I remember watching it back in 2017, couldn't remember anything about it, rewatched it last week, and already this week I don't remember half the things that happened in it. So I was cautiously looking forward to this sequel to the movie. Salma Hayek was a part of the first one that I actually did remember and enjoy. She's only in it for like 15 minutes, so I was excited for the fact that she's coming back. However, some things I wasn't excited for about this one was the fact that Patrick Hughes, who's the director of the first, came back for this one. It's the same writers and such, I believe, and I just wasn't that excited, but was semi-hopeful. I can say that this one is quite a bit better. Salma Hayek is in it more, and I loved her in this movie. I was actually laughing at quite a few scenes. The first one I did not find funny either. That was another big problem for me. I did not find that first one at all funny. There was maybe a couple more, so I went, huh. Whereas this one I was doing a little more actual laughing. Now, there's not very many scenes that I was laughing, but there was enough that I can say I enjoyed this more than the first. The action sequences were also something that really bugged me about the first. There's a lot of chop edit in the first one, and I couldn't actually always tell what was going on. I found the action a little bit better in this movie. I also found the runtime in the first movie to be way too long. The runtime of the first one's 2 hours, and it has no need to be. Could have been an hour 30 minutes. Guess what? This one's an hour and 39 minutes. Appropriate runtime for this movie. And Salma Hayek being added to the group made it even better, I thought. I liked how they all played off each other. And I thought that this was actually a lot better of a movie than the first one. Gary Oldman was the villain for the first Hitman's Bodyguard, and he was only in the movie for like 10 minutes really at the end of the day, and he had a couple things he did that were totally just off from the movie. He felt like he was in a different movie completely. And I'm happy to say that Antonio Banderas feels like he's in the same movie. And I'm happy to say Antonio Banderas, I think, was a bit of a better villain for this movie. Tonally, he fits better than what the first one did with Gary Oldman. However, there's like this weird little twist halfway through the movie that happens, and then it never goes anywhere. They do it for like 5 minutes, and then it goes nowhere. And at the end of the day, Antonio Banderas' villain is kind of unneeded, kind of unnecessary. I mean, he kind of comes up at the end, but he had more to do than Gary Oldman in the first one, I'll say that. Morgan Freeman was in the marketing for this movie, and yeah, he's in the movie for 5 minutes. About 5 minutes, which I kind of figured was going to happen, because that's kind of what's been happening. If you remember going back to Ted 2 in 2015, Morgan Freeman was heavily in the marketing campaign for that movie. He's in the movie for 10 minutes. It's something Morgan Freeman's been kind of doing. He's even admitted in interviews, he's kind of just doing movies for money at this point, for his kids, his grandkids, which is fine. Morgan Freeman does a great job with the 10 minutes he has in this movie. But at the end of the day, don't go to this movie because you want to see Morgan Freeman, because he's not in it that much. Now, once again, throughout this movie, just kind of like the first one, there's some moments where I was getting a little bored. I wanted something to happen. The movie feels very formulaic in the sense something happens, and then there's a funny scene where a bigger thing happens, and then there's kind of pause. And then there's something happens, and then there's a bigger thing that happens. Which, speaking of these bigger things, Ryan Reynolds is playing freaking Deadpool in this movie. Because there are so many times that Ryan Reynolds' character should be dead in this movie. The guy survives so many things that he should not be surviving. There was a couple little things in the first one that was like, okay, you shouldn't be getting up after that one necessarily. This one, though, he should be freaking dead. This turns into Fast and Furious at moments for me. So logically, this movie is going more over the top, which I think was a little bit better for it. Same time, tonally, compared to the first one, that was a little off for me. At the end of the day, I don't have too much more to say about this movie. This movie isn't great. I don't feel myself ever wanting to watch this movie again. I'm already forgetting about it as I'm thinking about it, but it's not as forgettable as the first one. The first one, if someone was showing it at their house, I would be able to take a guess at what movie it is. based on Ryan Reynolds being in the movie and what he's doing, or Samuel Jackson and what he's doing, but I won't remember any of the scenes. This one, if it's at someone else's house and I go there, I might be able to remember certain scenes. I might be interested in rewatching it again. At the end of the day, it's a very forgettable movie. It's very nothing. I hope Free Guy's better than this movie, because I like Ryan Reynolds. I want him to have good movies. In the end, though, again, forgettable movie. Not much is really happening. Action's a little better. It's a little funnier. Runtime has been shortened down. I think they learned a lot about their lessons with the first one. I think they listened to some of the criticisms of the first one and tried to do better with this one. And for me, I think it did a little better. In the end, I'm not going to give this movie too much of a grade up compared to the first one with a 4 out of 10, but I will give this one a 5 out of 10. So what did you think? Did you like the first one better than the second one? Did you like the second one better than the first one? Hey, this is one of the rare movies that when people say the sequel's never better than the first, I'm going to go Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Better than the first one. By a point. That point matters, guys. So, if there's any movie reviews you want me to do, please comment below. I will do them. And I am getting Loki up hopefully soon. I'm exhausted. It's been a week. Yowza. See you soon.